Yo, ¿qué onda, muchacho? Check it out, Kemo the Blaxican, straight up from that Lower East Side. Big shout out to Music Connection magazine.
All right, so we're sitting here with Kemo the Blaxican of Delinquent Habits. Thanks again for rocking with us at Music Connection magazine.
Right on, man. It's good to be here. Thank you.
Definitely. So we'll just jump right into it. How was your experience growing up identifying as both African American and Mexican?
Growing up, predominantly, I grew up in a Mexican household for the most part, you know, for as long as I could remember, because my folks, they weren't married that long, you know, and so I don't have a lot of memories living outside of that Mexican household and a Mexican neighborhood, you know what I mean? So by the time I was 9 years old, I did, however, move around a lot. So by the time I was 9, I had lived in East LA in the Maravilla projects. I had lived in Cudahy, went to school in Cudahy, went to school at Regan Elementary in East LA also. I had lived in Norwalk, I had lived in Long Beach, and had gone to school in South Central as well. So I moved around a lot and kind of experienced a lot of different, I guess, just different life experiences, different students, different, you know, acceptance. But what I found is that I was pretty much accepted everywhere. You know what I mean? I always had this ability to just, you know, get with people in a way where, even as a kid, I was able to communicate and you know, just get a good vibe with folks. And so, in general, I would say I had a good experience growing up, you know, with the occasional, you know, negativity that sometimes would come up, but it was rare, you know what I mean? I didn't always experienced it a little bit of racism here and there. Actually, more from adults than I did from kids, even, you know what I mean? But genuinely, I was always very much aware of being black and Mexican, though I'm very proud to be both, and always very aware of when the negativity would swirl around, it was painful. I couldn't stand it on either side. I didn't want to hear it from one side nor the other in any way, right? I didn't want nobody spin anything negative about los Mexicanos and nobody spin anything negative about the blacks, because how could you? You know what I mean? You're right there in the center. You're a kid, and you love your parents. You love both sides. You know what I mean? And like, you love who you are, and you know, you felt it. And so whenever that would swirl around, that was something that I would feel and try to shut it down. If I didn't shut it down, I would get away from it. But it's something that I'm extremely proud of today. And I always say it's a beautiful blend, beautiful mind kind of thing. That's why I feel we're at with it. And so, for my whole life, I've always advocated for that idea of just a unity thing between our people. Just for the greater good, though, of people in general, right? But I always wanted to see this union. So some people have told me it'll never happen. I think it's already happening. It's already been happening. And I never found it to be an issue in music. The music just kind of supersedes everything, you know what I mean? And so Mexican artists and black artists have always been accepting of me as an artist.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So speaking of which, with the music coming up right in the game, being black and Mexican, like, did you have like a particular lane? Like, was one side like genuinely taking you more than the other? Like, because you know how that's how with record labels, right? They want to market you a certain way and whatnot. So,
when we first started making music, I mean, it was just hip hop. It was hip hop first. was the approach. It's like, let's make dope hip hop records, you know what I mean? And that's what we were doing. I mean, we were, by the time Tres Delincuentes came out, we already had been a group for 4 years or something.
Right.
And we had been recording, you know, we had a couple of albums that we had been working on, a couple different record label deals and things like that. But it was always hip hop first. However, we knew that at the same time there was this thing within the industry that there was somewhat of a unlevel playing field when it came to budgets and marketing and radio play and those kinds of things. And so being aware of that, and being a fan of underdogs, you know what I mean? I think we kind of like, I definitely, you know, felt like there was a need to kind of push, you know, that Latino narrative forward a little bit and make some noise on that side. Not because I felt more, you know, pride or something on that side specifically, but that's how I identified. You know what I mean? I predominantly grew up on the east side. You know, my mother, my Mexican family, and so there was that culture, you know, ran heavy, and so when I sensed that uneven playing field, it was something I wanted to make a little bit of noise about. So I made it a point whenever I could, you know, to drop a line here and there, and it wasn't always an attack. Sometimes it was just dropping that Spanish, just letting you hear that Spanish flavor or switch it. And I tried to do it seamlessly, right, so it wouldn't just jar you, right, and disrupt the whole flow. So when I'd be writing and stuff, and I can get a good flow going, and then flip it in Spanish, and then come back into some English, that was my little Southern accent drop right there. The labels, you know, they started gravitating to that, and I think at that time it was, you know, that record came out in '96, and so that was the height of what the industry was calling the Latin explosion, I think, at that time, and the timing was quite right for that song at the time. But I can't take anything away from the song itself. The song, everything about the song was right. From the production, lyrically, the timing, the summer, everything. And so, you know, it took off right away, and the labels, they were hella happy and to see things take off. So we had to play some catch up, actually, because it took off faster than I think we were even quite ready in terms of the label being ready, you know, with the whole campaign and all that. So
that's what's up. So what inspired you to get in the game? Like, who were some of the artists that you looked up to, and how did that start?
Yeah, like, so in the early '80s, so I was, you know, fortunate enough to be alive and already listening to music before hip hop really kind of hit the scene. But I was young, and like a lot of other people of my generation, we were introduced to, you know, Run DMC, LL, stuff that just somehow just made it all the way from the East Coast to the West Coast, and just started consuming hip hop, rap songs, movies. I think I was in the 6th grade, and some dude from New York like came to our school, and he was breakdancing and shit on the playground, and I was like, oh, that's just dope. You know, I was just tripping on him. His name was Maurice, and he looked like John Travolta or something. Like John Travolta just flew in and started breakdancing right here at our school. There was a small group of kids that were into hip hop in a big way, and I was always just more of a spectator, like a fan of it, but couldn't really dance like that. Couldn't break. I mean, I could mess around a little bit, but I guess I didn't pursue it in a real way. But so I could remember at around 15, 16, is when I was like, okay. Listening to, I remember working out in my mom's garage, had some weights or whatever. I used to play ball, and so lifting was cool. And I remember specifically listening to an NWA record at the time, and thinking like, bam, like I want to do that. I didn't want to do it like that, but I really appreciated the vehicle, you know, to be able to articulate myself and my points of view in a song, in this rap form. And specifically, I know that that's what I was listening to at the time when I decided that I was going to try it, you know, and start writing myself. And from that point forward, you know what I mean, I started writing songs and found a studio to record at and started working on demos. By the time I was, I guess, maybe 18, probably, started recording my first demo cassettes.
Okay.
I found a producer in LA. I didn't know anything about even how to make a record, and I didn't know any producers. So I literally was looking for different producers, and I used to get that magazine, The Recycler. It's kind of like Craigslist was back then. I was always looking for cars or whatever, right? It was just like, and then they would have a section that was like bands and stuff and musicians kind of clicking up and connecting. And I saw an ad right there for production, and I hit the guy up. And we booked some studio time out here by the airport, and I went out there and recorded a demo. I recorded three songs with him, and that was the beginning of my recording, I guess, career.
Okay, for sure. And then how did that lead you to connecting with Cypress Hill and getting that going?
Yeah, so I would say like in 1990, 91 maybe, I met Sendog of Cypress, and I had this demo cassette of mine, and we had a mutual connect that told him that I was making records, and he introduced me to Sen, and I gave him the demo. I guess the homie's name was Jerry Johnson, and he's like, "Yo, do you know who Cypress is?" I was like, hadn't heard of Cypress yet. I mean, I think they had just dropped the first record, and but he introduced me to Sen. I met him. I think a couple weeks later, we talked about the demo tape and whatnot, and I slid him the demo, and he took off on tour. He came back, and he said two things to me, and all they were was, "You got a dope voice, keep writing." And so I took that as, all right, cool, keep writing, get better.
Right.
Oh, and he gave me a Public Enemy tape.
Okay.
He's like, listen to this a lot. Now, I already had heard Public Enemy, but I hadn't quite studied. What he was asking me to do was to kind of study that Chuck D's cadence. And I was like, okay. And so then I played that a lot. My Uzi weighs a ton, and I would play that tape all the time. And it started to form my rap style, my cadence. And early on, I think it was heavy like that. And eventually, you start to develop your own, and you start to get your thing going. You start blending in your style. But that's what Sen did for me early on, and I'll never forget that, man. That to this day, I have a lot of gratitude for just that alone. That he actually took the time, listened to the demo, and gave me those words of encouragement, which made me believe that I could do it. Keep it up, keep going, whatever. But keep writing, which was instrumental, because just like you and I were just talking about, I believe that's where it's at. You know what I mean? The lyrics they're a big deal. So started hanging out and going to a couple shows, and a little bit later after that, after going to a Cypress show and having seen Delinquent Habits perform, but I was there as a guest with Cypress. A couple weeks later, that's when I met Ives, and then we got to talking, and realized that we were both making music. And he was very, very much more advanced than me. I was still young in the game, but Ives is very much a natural. So, he invited me to work on do a collabo, and then the rest is history. We started working, and we just started making records.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Let's see. Got this question right here on Here Comes the Horns. You guys will work with Big Pun. Tell me about. He's one of my favorite artists on a personal level. What was that experience like? How did that come about?
So the label, the labels, they got the connect, right? So we were on Loud PMP,
That's
right? So there was definitely a strong connection to the East Coast, right? But we were on Loud out here in LA, so that was
Steve Rifkin.
Yeah, the Rifkin brothers, exactly.
And what's PMP?
So PMP was Paul Stewart. Paul Stewart, Power Move Production Records, and that's the label that put out the first Delinquent Habits record.
Okay.
But it was PMP, Loud.
Okay.
I don't know, was it RCA, Loud RCA?
Okay. Yeah, that's right.
And through that network, after the now that was our second record already. You know what I mean? So we were on Here Come the Horns. Pun was doing this thing. We knew the Beat Nuts. We were fans. And the way I remember it is the label made the connection.
Okay.
We weren't able to get in the actual studio at the time with Pun.
Okay.
We worked in the studio with the Beat Nuts. But got to meet Pun and out in New York. But at the time of the recording, he wasn't at the studio at that time to do that record.
What year was this?
98.
98. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is right when Pun was on.
Oh yeah.
Capital Punishment.
Oh yeah.
You know?
No, it was a good time.
Yeah.
It was a good time. It was the process was a little unique. Unfortunately, we couldn't do it quite like that. But we did get to meet,
That's cool. Fat Joe and everybody.
Yeah. There's a picture there that Esteban that he took at Battery Park, and it's for a magazine called Industry Insider Magazine way back in the day. And what they call it, the headline or the caption for the cover was Hip Hop's Minority.
Okay.
And on that cover, you'll see a lot of Latino hip hop artists that at the time were, doing their thing and getting recognized, and we were fortunate enough to be on that. You had some nice names. You had Tony Touch, you had Frost, Cuban Link, you had Funk Dubious, Delinquent Habits, Cycle Round. It's an interesting cover, man. Yeah, all of this on. You gotta look it up, man. It's a cool. It's a really cool magazine cover.
Okay. I gotta check that out.
And Pun was in it too, and Fat Joe.
Yeah. See, I think with stuff like that needs to happen. Like, we need to have that Latin explosion, like you said, but bring all those artists and have a resurgence like the Latino movement, and bring the lyrics back and just say, hey, we're gonna force in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just to bring it,
And why do you think it hasn't happened yet?
Why it hasn't happened in terms of what? Oh,
you said there needs to be this resurgence, right?
For sure. The unity. I just think there's a lot of people, a lot of artists hating on other artists, or egos are in the way. They just got to organize, really, at the end of the day. Set aside the ego and just put music to the forefront. That's what I think. I think it just takes unity, maybe a leader to just, bring in, I know these people, I know Funk Dubious, I know Beat Nuts, let's bring them all together.
Right.
On the nucleus of it. You know what I mean? Start doing shows, whatever, tours.
Yeah, maybe like a tour, a festival, or something like that puts that bill together.
Yeah, puts that bill together, and then puts on other Latino artists coming up in the game, get them to open up. You know what I mean? I think it can go down. You know what I mean? Because we're very powerful as people. You know
Oh
what I
yeah,
mean?
man, and I think the masses will come out to
Oh,
see it,
yeah,
man.
definitely.
It's like a wish list of,
Oh,
of
yeah.
some folks to see certain
yeah.
bands together that they may have never seen together, or maybe once, maybe some of them.
Hmm.
But you put it all together, you put the right lineup together, and you can go toe to toe with any other lineup
Oh yeah,
and
definitely.
smash.
Yeah, it could be like a Rock the Bells for Latinos. Just like you said from the picture that Esteban took, everybody there, whether Cypress or Mello or whoever, Frost,
You had the
Vaughn,
Mexicans on there too.
everybody.
Simple,
You
yeah,
know what I
man.
mean?
You'll look it up.
Yeah,
You'll
I'm
see
gonna look
it.
it up.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
gonna check it out.
Yeah, that's
But
cool.
like, having a lineup like that, it'll go. You know what I mean? Definitely go. You know what I mean? Wishful thinking.
Yo, let's get them promoters to line up. We're ready
You
to
know
do
what I'm
this.
saying? Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
in.
Definitely. I'm in too. For sure. So what's next for you? I know you mentioned a project with you and God Forbid. You have any other, whether, solo projects, any side projects you want to mention?
Yeah, sure. So, well, I have several projects that are currently in development and all in different stages of development. But I'm working on another trifecta, another 3-song EP that's coming out that I'm real excited about. It's almost wrapped up, and so it'll be 3 songs, but it's heavy. It's really dope. I haven't released a project in a minute since Ugly at Times, but that's being worked on, and it's like I said, it's almost finished. And then soon after that, I'm working on another trifecta with another artist, another 3-song EP where my son is doing all the production on the music as well. So I'm excited about that because he's a young producer. He's killing it, and he took a liking to it. He showed me some beats, and I'm like, you know what? I like these right here, and that's something I never got to do with my dad. And I'm like, let's do this. You know what I mean? So and he's got what he's got. He's pretty talented when it comes to music. He plays saxophone. He can play the drums, and now he's producing. So we're gonna do something there. I got another project that I'm working on also. This in the digital space.
Okay.
So kind of dabbling into some uncharted territory, but kind of interested in that digital asset kind of thing going on. And so there's some real excitement about that project, and it's really about being able to help people. So I can't really disclose too much information about it, but I'm very excited about it. And in the end, I really hope that it becomes what I'm dreaming up right now. And if it does, then we'll be able to help a lot of people. I'm excited about that. Got a small feature in that Loretta Vance movie, Chola Zombies, that Mark Newton is directing and Loretta's in. So just dabbling, just having some fun right now, just getting back into the creative process of recording, art. It's been a minute, kind of took a little bit of a break, from creating things that were new. So just busy supporting the record, performing live. It was taking priority, but got a moment here to work on new stuff, and so I'm excited about that.
Definitely. Speaking about performing live, where can we see you performing next?
So I got a tour that I'll be going on. I'll be in Europe in March.
Okay.
I'll be hitting Switzerland, Austria, Germany, and Hungary. It's a little quick, solo tour. Mess around and do some of the Kemo the Blaxican joints.
Do you perform solo? Or do you have like a band that you roll with, or is it?
It'll be primarily just. It's not a band.
Okay.
It's just 2 turntables and a microphone kind of thing.
That's all you need.
And there might be a surprise element, but primarily it's just the mic and the turntables.
Cool.
And then in Cinco de Mayo of 2024, I locked that in already. So I'll be in Chula Vista on a concert with Little Unos throwing an event. So just be on the lookout for that. I don't know all the details because it's down the line still, but it's early on. So I just have a few things, primarily right now I'm in the creation mode, but there's been a couple of things that'll come up. So I'm locking them in right now.
Definitely. Speaking of creation, what's one piece of advice that you would give to an up-and-coming artist that's looking to get in the game, or an artist that's already in the game but struggling because whether it's competition or saturation or whatever, what's one piece of advice that can keep them motivated?
Yeah, well, I'm going to say definitely stay hungry. Definitely stay original. Come from the heart, because that helps a lot. When you come from the heart and you're doing your thing, then you don't really have to concern yourself with who you're trying to make the record for. It's just pouring out of you. There's not a lot that can really stand in your way. Try not to filter yourself. Just write, record. You'll know when it's right. Schedule, organize. Treat it honestly and seriously like a business. Learn how to do it right. Excel at doing it correctly. Because there's a lot of facets to releasing a record and attaining success, depending on the level of success you're trying to reach. And that's not necessarily monetary success or making a shitload of money or whatever. It may simply be that you want to get it done and get it out. That's one thing. How do you get it to the masses? What does that take? What does it take to do it correctly through the different outlets? I guess all I can really say is learn as much as you can and keep on learning. But most importantly, just be original, come from the heart, keep on creating, and keep putting it out.
Definitely. And what do you like most about the rap game, and what do you like least about the rap game?
I'm impartial to that, man. I'm not complaining about nothing, none of it. I'm just doing what I do. So the thing I like the most is creating, making records, putting them out, painting pictures with words and just doing it my way. I try not to put myself in a box. You're either going to like it or you're not. I'm not going to please everyone. I'm not even going to give you the same type of record every time. I know that. So don't expect that. I might give you a little bit of something like this. I might give you a lot of Spanish. You might hear me doing some power ballads one of these days. You never know. I don't know. I just have fun with it now. I've already been doing it for a long time. And so what I can appreciate is when folks are just open to good music. And so the rap game, it's a beautiful thing. Just navigate it well.
Absolutely. And where online can artists find you, or our viewers find you?
Yeah, so mostly at Kemo the Blaxican. Almost everything. Kemo the Blaxican. Joint Clothing, an independent clothing line that is a unity brand that I've been having since '98 that I continue to do. And Joint Marca Fina as well. But everything Kemo the Blaxican is where you can find me for the most part.